trophies still on the shelf, but the Red Sox still haven't missed a beat. Hi, and welcome to Fantasy Baseball Matchup presented by Levitra here on CBSSports.com. I'm Amber Wilson. When David Ortiz hurt his wrist on May 31st, he left a gaping hole in the middle of the Red Sox lineup. But the very next day, J.D. Drew returned from a bout with vertigo, and he sure has filled the void ever since. Drew stepped right into Ortiz's vacant 3 spot and has been as hot as the Northeast weather this month. The veteran outfielder is sporting a .440 clip with 8 home runs and 17 RBI. Drew, who once had batteries hurled at him in the city of brotherly love after he refused to sign his first contract with the Phillies, has gone yard in his last 2 games and still has 2 more to go in the cozy confines of Citizens Bank Park in Philly. Then he'll head back to home to host another team he has some history with, the Cardinals, in more interleague action. Another scorching bat in the American League belongs to Indian center fielder Grady Sizemore, who has blasted 5 round trippers with 8 RBI in his last 5 contests. After hitting just .221 in May, Sizemore's average for June is 90 points higher, and he's now at .266 for the year. Over on the senior circuit, Ryan Howard smacked 2 more long balls Monday night for his second multi-homer game in 4 tilts, and the big man has at least 4 RBI in 3 of those games. After a slow start, Howard is suddenly second in the majors with 19 home runs overall. Staying in the NL, Carlos Beltran is doing his best to turn around the Mets' fortunes. The outfielder also belted a pair of homers Monday night in Anaheim and now has 4 dingers and 10 driven in over his last 6 starts with 2 stolen bases for good measure. Before June came along, Hunter Pence was lighting things up in May. Now the Astros sophomore is mired in a 3-for-28 slump that's pushed his average down 20 points. Take a look at his splits for the 2 months. Pence is batting a whopping 150 points lower this month, and while we're just halfway through, his production is nowhere near where it was in May. And just when we thought the White Sox were turning things around with 7 straight wins, their offense came undone once again as they tumbled to losses in 5 of their next 6. Nick Swisher is in a 2-for-18 funk after opening June with a 9-game hit streak. Jermaine Dye homered and stroked 2 hits on Sunday to snap a 1-for-18 skid. And even the one constant in their lineup this season, Carlos Quentin, has been hampered by a swollen thumb and has just 3 hits in his last 22 at-bats. All right, it's time for a quick break, but when we come back, we'll make a visit to the mound to see who you should yank and who deserves more time on the hill. Welcome back, as it's time to go over some pitchers who are getting the best of opposing batters. CC Sabathia's struggles earlier this season were well chronicled, and with a contract situation and trade rumors looming over his head, we weren't sure when he'd put those worries aside and just get back to pitching. While they haven't offered the big lefty an extension yet, the Indians haven't said he will be available anytime soon. But checking in on Sabathia's last 2 starts, you'd be hard-pressed to find any evidence of a worry other than getting hitters out. Coming off a 5-hit shutout against Minnesota, CC mowed down 10 Padres on Sunday in 8 very strong innings, earning him American League Player of the Week honors. On the NL side, Florida's Ricky Nolasco shared the award with Pittsburgh's Ryan Domit after fanning 12 in a near-complete game in Tampa Bay. Nolasco, who's credited his recent success to a new-cut fastball, has picked up wins in 6 of his last 7 decisions with a respectable ERA and strikeout-to-walk ratio in that span. After a few rough starts, Cole Hamels seems to have worked out the kinks. The young southpaw twirled a 3-hit shutout over the Reds, then followed that up with a 13K performance against the Marlins. Last night, Hamels went 7 strong in a home victory over the high-powered Red Sox. And in the pen, John Roush has filled in admirably for Chad Cordero in D.C. With the chief out due to a shoulder injury, Roush has 15 saves so far this season, including 3 last week. The towering righty struck out the side against the lowly Mariners in his latest trip to the Hill on Saturday. At the other end of the spectrum, a pair of big-name pitchers are struggling to find the win column. Randy Johnson is winless in his last 5 outings, while Roy Oswalt has just 1 victory in 6 tries. Oswalt was hit hard by the Bronx Bombers on Sunday, but at least the Yankee offense is highly paid. The big unit, however, has been shelled by the low-budget Royals and Pirates in his previous 2 starts. Another former Cy Young winner, Greg Maddux, has a drought of 7 games without a win, although he has performed much better than this duo. And while the Phillies continue to roll, their former ace has put together 2 brutal outings, just over 11 innings pitched, 11 earned runs allowed for Brett Myers, who is now 3-8 this year with an ERA of 5.5. Last year's closer may find himself back in the bullpen if he keeps up the futility. Speaking of closers and futility, it couldn't get much worse for Billy Wagner after 3 straight blown saves last week. Wagner didn't do much to help keep Willie Randolph afloat, surrendering 2 runs in each of those appearances. Wagner closed out the Rangers on Sunday before picking up the save in a shaky inning Monday against the Angels. But of course, it wasn't enough for the Mets skipper to keep his job. That'll do it for this week's edition of Fantasy Baseball Matchup. Keep your mouths right here at CBSSports.com for everything you need to know in the world of sports. If you missed anything here today, stop, refresh, and rewatch. I'm Amber Wilson. Have a great one, guys.